Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Distinguished Toastmaster, for the Toastmasters, and our most welcome guests. Going to Pathways is a journey. And I don't know who came up with that name, but I think Pathways is a great name for what we go through when we go through our educational system and Toastmasters. I am doing right now my fourth path in Pathways. And it has been a journey to get there. And I have learned a lot about myself. I've grown a lot. Terry and Marika can attest to that. And David and Bob. And I have fun with those last two paths that I have done. One of the things that I've worked with is doing a lot of impromptu speeches. So one of the things I did is go to a club. At one time I was a member of 4 clubs. So if they don't have a speaker, I would tell them, give me a topic, give me a few minutes, and I'll come up with a speech. I can tell you sometimes it works, and I'm happy with it. Other times it didn't work. But what that developed in me is the ability to speak off the cuff more than 2 minutes, 7, 10, 12 minutes even. So that was helpful to me because being in leadership in Toastmasters, everywhere you go, every club you visit, they want you to do a speech. So as the district director, if I go and visit a contest or I go to a club, they want you to say something. They want you to leave them with a little gift. So you are forced to speak more than you actually want to. So that's the good and maybe a bad thing about it. But that's what you have to develop. When I was doing my icebreaker, and each path, of course, start with an icebreaker, and every time you have to ask yourself, what else can I tell about myself? Oh my God. But for me, it took me back, way back, because for my icebreaker, I actually found a quote. And from that quote, I built a whole speech. And I was so happy because when I freed myself, when I found myself in Toastmasters, it was actually from a manual. And the manual was all about using other people's material to build a speech. So the quote that I had at that time is from Shakespeare. That which we call a rose, by any other name, will smell just as sweet. And it was interesting to me, so I went to research it. And it's a line that Juliet said, and Romeo and Juliet, about her situation with Romeo. Spoiler alert, the reason why Juliet couldn't marry Romeo is because their family had a feud. And that line was basically saying, you know, a name is just a name. It doesn't have any meaning behind it. Of course, we had a member a few years back, Innocencia. If I said that in front of her, she would have said, no. In my village in Africa, the names have meaning to them. There's a reason why you have that name. But I played on with that one sentence. And I built a speech about it, about how names doesn't have any meaning. One of the things we learn in Toastmasters, you don't necessarily have to believe what you're saying. You just have to convince others of what you're telling them. That's all it is. At the end of the day, a speech, it's just a speech. It's ephemeral. And in level 2, I gave a speech about giving back. I believe a lot of our journey in Toastmasters is about giving back. Everybody that has a role today or at every other meeting that we have are giving back to others. I have an evaluator that's going to be evaluating me, giving me bad feedback. I have a timer that's going to keeping my time for me and giving back to me so I can know when my time is up. I have an eye counter that's checking on my eyes and arms. That wasn't none of them. I was just telling them. And I have a grammarian keeping track if I'm using the word of the day or if I make any grammar report. So all we are doing is giving back. And I wanted to talk about that because in my journey in Toastmasters, I found that being of service to others is embedded in the program itself. And that makes a huge difference to me and to others. One of the speeches I gave actually probably 2 weeks ago at this very club, and I gave it to my other club, I'm a part of 2 clubs, is the one about done. And that speech, I actually got it because I heard somebody else talk about the quote of Done Manifesto, and he gave a whole speech about it. So I went and researched it. I said, oh, maybe I can do a speech about it as well. There is 13 different lines up on the manifesto. And I pick and choose a couple of them. Of course, my speech was longer in both clubs, about 7 minutes and 42 and 7 minutes and 43 seconds each time. I didn't learn in both places that I gave that speech. But the important thing is that I was able to rebuild a speech from somebody that's actually newer to Toastmasters. I'm mentoring their club right now. And the idea was very nice to me. So I said, oh, I can build a whole speech about time management on that very idea and have fun with it. And it's all about having fun with your ideas, with the way you construct your speeches and try different things. I even tried to do a speech standing in one specific spot and not moving. But it really broke the audience because they are used to me just traveling around, doing those grand gestures that when they see me standing still in one spot, I think they were a little bit upset with me. It's like, you did not deliver what I wanted you to deliver, what was in my mind, preconceived for you. Now, some of the speeches that I did in that path, I couldn't have done in this club or in any other club because there are longer speeches that required me to speak for 15, 20 minutes. And one of them actually, the opportunity came as I was going to a TLI in the Bahamas. While I was in the flight, I was texting with my team and making sure that everything was going fine. And unfortunately, one of the presenters, his wife, was sick for a long time with cancer. She passed away. And of course, he couldn't do his workshop that day. So while I was flying, I said, okay, not a problem, put my name down, I'll take over the workshop because it's very short notice. Of course, the flight from here to the Bahamas is about 35 minutes. So I had to figure my speech very quickly. So thank God I texted one of my Toastmaster friends and I said, I know there's a speech in there. This is what the category is. Tell me which path it's on so I can, and then send me the evaluation on WhatsApp. So I was able to do that and gave my evaluation to somebody there. And I did a 15 to 20 minute workshop on leadership. Now, what I was practicing in this, once next year, June 30th come on, and it's my last day, and July 1st start, and I start celebrating because I'm done with my term as district director. One of the things that I will be called to do is run workshops, do keynote speaking a lot. So those things, those opportunities will be coming to me. So I have to break the mold out of speaking for 5 to 7 minutes and go a little bit longer, 15, 20 minute range. And you have to build your material. It's not going to come to you overnight. So that needs a lot of practice. So I did a whole workshop with them about leadership, talk to them about my journey and how Toastmasters help you in building that journey in leadership. And I have to tell you, I was very proud of myself. Why? Because my voice the night before decided to just fly away. So that morning, I had to be extra powerful to project myself enough so everybody can hear me. Thank God the room was not that big, and I only had 15 to 20 people there, so they could hear me, and we did the Q&A at the end, and that one went well. So I'm still building up on that speech and making sure it's stronger and stronger every time. And a few weeks ago, actually, Paolo was there when I was trying it out again for another audience, but I didn't know I was being evaluated at the time. So on that one, I said, well, where would that one fit? That actually fit into preparing yourself and speaking professionally. So I used that time to really nail it, push it into my audience, convince them to get into the leadership track. Because one of my goals next year will be to recruit the incoming leadership team for the district. So those things built up the path, the levels, the project, the speeches. They are building up to something bigger. But along the way, I had to tell you, I had a lot of fun with different things that I tried, like for example, sitting in one spot or using a quote or just being extra like I usually am. And that is the essence of Toastmasters. Every single speech I give, I make sure that it is very personal to me and I'm learning something out of it. So if you are starting in your path in Toastmasters, make your speeches meaningful to you. And that will transfer over to your audience. And enjoy the journey. Mr. Toastmaster of the Day.